Emotional intelligence. You hear the term, well, pretty much everywhere these days, right?
Oh, absolutely. EQ, it's definitely having a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And for good reason, I think.
Yeah, because while, society often focuses so much on IQ, academics, that kind of stuff.
Right, the measurable things.
Exactly. It feels like this other thing, how we handle our own emotions, how we read others, that's what really shapes our day-to-day lives, our work, our relationships, everything.
It's a really interesting contrast, isn't it? We spent so long building systems around, well, cognitive smarts, education, careers.
Mm-hmm.
It's all been about measuring that intellect.
But then you look around at who's actually, thriving. It's not always the person with the highest IQ score.
No, it's often much more complex than that. The real world throws different challenges at us.
Okay, picture this. You've got someone who's technically brilliant, a real genius in their field.
Mm-hmm. The whiz kid.
Right. But when the pressure hits, tight deadline, team project, maybe some friction.
Things start to wobble.
Yeah, they might get defensive, or they struggle to really hear feedback, maybe unintentionally rub people the wrong way. And suddenly, despite all that talent, they hit a kind of ceiling.
And that ceiling, that invisible barrier, so often it comes down to, well, a gap in emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's navigating those messy human interactions that makes the difference.
Right. Now, flip that. Think about someone else. Maybe not the top student, academically speaking, but they're the one everyone turns to when there's, like, a team conflict or something. They stay calm. They actually listen.
They just seem to get people.
Exactly. And what happens, often you see them start to move up, not just because of technical skill, but because of how they connect. That's EQ right there in action.
It really shows how those sometimes called softer skills,
Yeah.
empathy, self-awareness, communication, are actually incredibly powerful, pivotal, really.
And here's the best part, I think. Unlike IQ, which can feel pretty set,
Right, it doesn't change much after a certain point.
EQ is something you can actually work on. You can develop it. You can get better. And that's why we wanted to do this deep dive, especially for you, the learner, who's always looking to grow.
That's so empowering, isn't it? The fact that it's malleable. It's not just about what you're born with. It's a skill set you can build.
So our mission today, pretty simple, really. We want to unpack what EQ really is, why it matters so much.
Like the real world impact.
Yeah. And crucially, give you some practical ways to, level up your own emotional intelligence.
We want to go beyond just defining it. We want you to walk away with a deeper understanding and some actual tools you can use, like right away.
We'll share some stories, look at the psychology behind it,
The science bit.
and give you some simple, concrete techniques. Things to boost your emotional awareness, your resilience, how you bounce back.
By mixing those real stories with the research and then the practical stuff, hopefully we can give you a really well-rounded picture.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. What is emotional intelligence, fundamentally?
At its heart, it's about being aware of your own emotions, understanding them, and importantly, managing them.
Right. But it's not just an internal thing, is it?
No, absolutely not. That's only half the equation. It's also about recognizing and understanding the emotions happening in other people.
Or maybe even influencing them in a positive way.
Exactly. And let's be super clear here. This isn't about being soft or, overly emotional.
No, it's not about being a pushover.
Not at all. It's about being smart with emotions, your own and others.
That's a great way to put it. Being smart with feelings.
It's about awareness, really. Knowing the emotional currents inside you and between people and using that awareness effectively.
And this kind of smartness, it really pays dividends. Research shows pretty consistently that higher EQ leads to better performance at work.
Stronger relationships, definitely.
Less anxiety, more resilience when things get tough. It just touches like everything, how we lead, learn, connect.
The data is really solid on this. It's not just a nice to have, it's a significant predictor of, success and just general well-being.
Think about maybe the last argument you had, even a small one.
Okay.
Were you really, truly listening, trying to see their side? Or were you maybe just waiting to jump in, caught up in your own frustration or defensiveness?
Ah, those moments. Yeah, they really test your EQ, don't they? Those little interactions, especially when feelings are high.
And those moments add up. How we handle them makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And today, with so much communication happening digitally,
Oh, yeah. Texts, emails, Slack.
we lose so much of the nonverbal stuff, right? The
Mhm.
tone, the body language.
Mhm.
It makes consciously developing that emotional literacy even more important.
Totally. You have to work harder to read the room or even just read the text message accurately.
And yet, these are skills most of us never really got taught in school.
Right. We learned algebra, history, but not necessarily how to, take a breath before snapping back.
Or how to even figure out what we're feeling sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly. Or just listen without needing to fix everything.
That gap in formal education often leaves us feeling a bit unprepared for the emotional complexities of life.
Well, that's exactly what this deep dive is for, to help you bridge that gap.
To give you that missing toolkit, maybe. Some insights, some techniques you can actually use.
So here's the plan. First, we'll break down EQ into its core components. Get past the buzzwords. Self-awareness, self-regulation.
Motivation, empathy, and social skills. The Big Five, often linked to Daniel Goleman's work, they provide a really good structure.
Then we'll dig into why EQ often matters even more than raw IQ, especially for things like relationships, leadership, handling conflict.
Resilience, too. We'll look at scenarios where EQ really shines.
We'll also tackle some common myths, like the idea that being emotional makes you irrational.
Yeah, I gotta bust that one. It's about using emotions intelligently alongside your thinking.
And of course, the practical bit. We promise 5 straightforward exercises you can start doing, like today, to boost your EQ.
Actionable stuff. No complicated theories, just things you can weave into your routine.
So as you're listening, maybe on your commute, out for a walk, whatever, really lean in. Remember, this isn't about achieving some impossible state of perfect calm.
No, it's not about perfection at all.
It's about becoming more aware, more adaptable, and honestly, more compassionate with yourself and with others.
It's about building a more mindful relationship with your own emotions and with the emotional world around you.
Because at the end of the day, people might forget exactly what you said or did, but they almost always remember how you made them feel. And EQ is the key to influencing those feelings, genuinely and positively.
That hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That emotional resonance is what lasts.
So let's dive in. Let's explore this amazing emotional landscape inside and out and figure out how mastering our emotions can genuinely change how we live and connect.
Let's do it. Where should we start? Maybe defining EQ a bit more formally.
Yeah, good call. Emotional intelligence, EQ, we hear it constantly. But what does it actually mean day to day?
Well, its popularity definitely shows we're recognizing its importance. But yeah, we need to get beyond the label.
Okay, so fundamentally, it's the ability to understand and manage your own emotions, right? Like knowing what you're feeling, why you're feeling it.
And how those feelings are affecting your actions, your thoughts. It's like having an internal weather forecast.
I like that. An internal weather map. But it's not just internal, is it?
No, that's the other critical half. It's also being able to tune into, to recognize, and understand the emotions that other people are experiencing.
From reading their weather map, too. Their facial expressions, tone of voice.
Body language, yeah. All those subtle cues. And then, crucially, using that understanding to guide how you interact, how you respond, building better connections.
Okay, so let's make a clear distinction here. IQ intelligence quotient, that's about cognitive stuff, right? Logic, memory, problem solving.
Right. Your ability to process information, learn complex ideas.
But EQ is focused much more on emotional and interpersonal skills. And the saying often goes, IQ might get you hired.
But EQ gets you promoted or helps you thrive in that role, build relationships.
Exactly. It dictates how well you navigate the actual human dynamics of the workplace or any group, really.
It influences so much how clearly we communicate, how we handle stress, navigate disagreements, show empathy, how well we inspire people is huge.
It really does permeate everything. It's not just one little skill.
No, it shapes our whole approach to the world and our own well-being, too.
Now, you mentioned Daniel Goleman earlier. He really brought EQ into the mainstream back in the 90s.
He did. He popularized the concept and offered a really useful framework, those 5 key components we mentioned.
Right, the 5 pillars. Let's break those down. What's the first one?
Self-awareness. This is the absolute bedrock. You can't manage what you don't recognize.
So it's knowing your emotions as they're happening, in the moment.
Precisely. It's noticing, okay, anxiety is showing up right now, or wow, that comment really sparked some anger, instead of just reacting blindly.
Like having internal alarm bell for your feelings?
Yeah, or that Geiger counter you mentioned. It's about observing those feelings without immediately judging them or trying to push them away.
So people strong in this, they don't bury stuff.
Generally, no. They observe. They try to understand how emotions affect their thoughts, their actions. They get a sense of their own strengths, weaknesses. It's like having that clear inner mirror.
Okay, inner mirror. I like that. So, cornerstone, self-awareness. What's next?
Self-regulation. If awareness is noticing, regulation is managing.
Okay, so doing something constructive with the feeling once you've noticed it.
Exactly. It's that ability to pause, to think before acting, to choose your response instead of letting the emotion hijack you.
Ah, the amygdala hijack we hear about.
That's the one. Self-regulation is the skill that helps you avoid that. But importantly, it's not about suppressing emotions.
Right, not bottling things up.
No. It's acknowledging the feeling, giving it space, but then deciding how to handle it constructively. Staying calm under pressure, adapting to change, avoiding impulse decisions you'll regret. It's about finding emotional balance.
Navigating the feelings without being totally swamped by them. Got it. Okay, number 3?
Motivation. And here we're talking about something deeper than just chasing external rewards like money or praise.
So not just ambition.
Not just that. It's about being driven from within by your values, your sense of purpose, a genuine desire to grow. Intrinsic motivation.
Ah, okay. So doing something because it matters to you personally.
Precisely. People with high EQ often have this strong internal drive. They're fueled by passion, curiosity, commitment to their goals, and it gives them resilience.
How so?
Well, when they hit setbacks, which everyone does, they don't just give up. They see it as a chance to learn, to adapt. They persevere because the drive comes from inside, not just from external validation. It's that inner fire.
Like an internal compass guiding them. Okay, that makes sense. 4th pillar.
Empathy. If self-awareness is tuning into yourself, empathy is turning into others.
Understanding their emotional world.
Yes. And it's more than just feeling sorry for someone. That's sympathy, which can sometimes create distance.
Right. Sympathy is, I feel for you.
Empathy is, I feel with you. It's trying to genuinely step into their shoes, sense what they might be feeling, connect on a human level. It builds bridges.
So picking up on the subtle stuff, tone of voice, body language.
Exactly. Responding with care, even if you don't agree with their perspective. Empathetic people tend to be better listeners, better team players, better leaders, because they can see beyond their own viewpoint.
People remember being understood more than being fixed.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one.
Social skills. This is where it all comes together in how we interact with the world.
So putting the awareness, regulation, motivation, and empathy into action.
Pretty much. It's about managing relationships, communicating clearly and effectively, influencing others positively, working well in teams, resolving conflict peacefully.
Building rapport, knowing when to speak, when to listen.
Yes. It's turning that internal EQ into effective external action, creating environments where people feel valued and heard. It's not necessarily about being the most outgoing person, but about connecting skillfully.
Okay, so those are the 5. Self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. All interconnected.
And all developable. That's the key takeaway. None of these are fixed. You can strengthen each one with practice.
And it's not about being some kind of perfect, emotionless robot.
Definitely not. It's about being authentic, acknowledging your feelings, managing them with care, building respectful relationships, approaching conflict with curiosity, not defense.
Being in a better relationship with your emotions, you said earlier.
Exactly. And that impacts everything, how you handle stress, give feedback, support loved ones. It's a way of living with more awareness and intention.
So understanding these 5 components is really the first step to cultivating EQ. It's a path to more connection, calm, and clarity.
Especially in a world that often feels so reactive and overwhelming. It provides a kind of anchor.
Okay, so now that we have a clearer definition, let's compare EQ to that old heavyweight champion, IQ. Why does EQ often seem to pack a bigger punch in real life?
Ah, the classic EQ versus IQ debate. It's crucial because for so long, IQ was seen as the measure of intelligence, the predictor of success.
Right. Logic, memory, analytical skills. That was the gold standard. Schools, jobs, everything was geared towards it.
But then we started noticing something. High IQ didn't always equal life success.
Exactly. You'd see incredibly smart people, academically brilliant, who just struggled emotionally and personally.
While others, maybe with more moderate IQs, just seemed to navigate life much more smoothly. They thrived.
It led to that realization that maybe raw intellect wasn't the whole picture. There was a missing piece.
That missing piece often being emotional intelligence. I love the analogy. IQ might get you in the door.
But EQ determines how you navigate the room once you're inside, or how far you go.
Precisely. Let's bring it down. IQ helps you process information, solve logical problems, think abstractly. It's about understanding things.
Right. Facts, data, concepts.
EQ, on the other hand, helps you process emotions, yours and others. It helps you solve interpersonal challenges, think empathetically. It's about understanding people.
Including yourself.
Critically, yes. And in today's interconnected world, understanding people is arguably becoming even more valuable than just understanding things.
Let's take that promotion scenario again. Candidate A, technical genius, knows everything, aces the tests, but maybe a bit rigid, a poor listener, creates friction.
Right. High IQ, maybe lower EQ.
Candidate B, maybe not quite as technically deep, but highly empathetic, great communicator, adapts well, lifts the team up.
High EQ, solid IQ. Who often gets the nod, especially for leadership roles?
In most modern workplaces, candidate B, right. Because it's not just about managing tasks anymore, it's about leading people. That requires connection, understanding, inspiration, all EQ skills.
It's a fundamental shift. We need leaders who can navigate the human element, not just the technical one.
Okay, what about personal relationships? Romance, family, friends?
Well, high IQ might help you win an argument or plan a logical vacation itinerary.
True.
But it's EQ that builds sustainable connection. Listening deeply, expressing vulnerability, reading those subtle emotional cues. That's what makes relationships work long-term.
It's about knowing when to apologize sincerely or just sit with someone in silence when they're hurting.
Exactly. EQ creates emotional safety, which is the bedrock for trust, love, intimacy. IQ alone can't build that.
Even for personal growth, like achieving goals.
Yeah, think about it. IQ helps you set the goal, maybe strategize, but what manages the fear of failure along the way?
EQ.
What helps you cope with setbacks and disappointment without giving up?
EQ again, resilience.
Right. EQ builds that resilience. It helps high performers avoid burnout by managing stress, pacing themselves, bouncing back from adversity. IQ sets the target. EQ fuels the journey and keeps you going.
And in this age of AI and automation,
Ooh, good point. As machines take over more routine cognitive tasks.
those uniquely human skills, empathy, collaboration, self-regulation, become even more valuable, don't they? AI can't replicate genuine EQ.
Not authentically, no. Efficiency might be automated, but true impact, connection, leadership, that requires emotional intelligence.
We see this play out in real life, too. Think of someone like Steve Jobs.
Brilliant innovator, high IQ, obviously.
But early on, known for being, well, difficult, volatile, lacks some interpersonal skills, strained relationships.
But later in his career, many accounts suggest he developed more EQ. He recognized the power of empathy, collaboration. He grew.
Compare that to someone like Oprah Winfrey.
Her success isn't primarily about academic brilliance. It's about connection.
Her incredible EQ, her ability to understand people, make them feel heard, that's the foundation of her empire.
It's a powerful demonstration of EQ driving massive influence.
Even sports figures, like Tom Brady, maybe not seen as the most physically gifted quarterback initially,
Compared to some, yeah.
but his longevity, his success, often attributed to his mental toughness, his leadership, his emotional discipline under pressure, huge EQ.
Absolutely. That emotional resilience and leadership capacity were key differentiators.
And even fictional characters show this contrast. Sherlock Holmes, off the charts IQ, but famously low EQ, right? Socially awkward, struggles with empathy,
The classic high IQ, low EQ archetype.
versus, say, Ted Lasso, maybe average IQ, but overflowing with empathy, optimism, connection. He transforms a team through EQ.
It's a brilliant contrast, showing the different kinds of power each intelligence holds, especially in leadership.
So these examples just drive it home. Intelligence isn't monolithic, and the kind that shapes how we live, love, lead, it often comes from that emotional core.
It really highlights that EQ plays a vital, often underestimated role in the quality and direction of our lives.
Now, IQ and EQ aren't enemies. They work together.
Ideally, yes. They complement each other beautifully. Having both is powerful.
But in those critical moments, conflict, change, deep connection, which one often takes the lead?
Arguably, it's EQ. It guides us through the human complexities with more wisdom, more grace.
And the best news, as we said before, while IQ is relatively fixed,
EQ is flexible. It can be learned, developed, strengthened throughout life.
that's so hopeful.
It really is. It gives us agency.
So understanding the difference isn't about picking sides. It's about recognizing the value of both and choosing to actively nurture our emotional wisdom. Not just being smart, but being wise with feelings.
Exactly. Aiming for that balance, that integration of head and heart to create more harmony. Now, shall we look under the hood a bit? Explore the science behind all this.
Yeah, let's do that. Because EQ isn't just some fuzzy concept, is it? There's actual brain science involved.
Absolutely. It might feel abstract, but it's grounded in how our brains are wired and how different parts communicate. It's about the balance between feeling and thinking.
Okay, so neuroscientifically speaking, what are the key players?
Well, there are two main brain regions we need to talk about: the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. Their interaction is really the core of emotional intelligence.
Limbic system, that's the older, more primitive part, the emotional brain.
Exactly. It's deep inside, includes structures like the amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus. It's where our raw emotional responses are generated: fear, pleasure, anger. It reacts super fast.
And the amygdala is a big part of that.
Huge part. Think of the amygdala as the brain's smoke detector or alarm system. It senses potential threats or strong emotional triggers and instantly floods your system with stress hormones.
Fight or flight kicking in.
Precisely. It happens incredibly quickly, often before the more rational part of your brain even knows what's going on. It's designed for survival.
Okay, so that's the fast emotional reaction center. What about the other part, the prefrontal cortex?
The prefrontal cortex, or PFC, is right at the front, behind your forehead. This is the more evolved part, the brain's CEO, or executive control center.
So rational thought, planning, decision-making,
Yeah.
that stuff.
Impulse control, understanding consequences, regulating social behavior. It's where conscious, reasoned choices happen.
So how do these two parts relate to emotional intelligence?
That's the key.
Yeah.
In people with high EQ, there's strong, efficient communication between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex.
Like a good hotline connection.
Exactly. So when the amygdala sounds the alarm, anger, anxiety, the prefrontal cortex gets the message quickly and can step in. It can assess the situation more logically.
Hit the pause button.
Right. It can ask, okay, is this reaction proportional? Is there another way to see this? Should I really say that right now? This ability of the PFC to modulate the limbic system's response is emotional regulation. It's fundamental to EQ.
Okay, so what happens when that connection is weak? or gets bypassed.
That's when you get the amygdala hijack we mentioned earlier. The emotions just overwhelm the system, shutting down rational thought.
Road rage, impulsive angry emails.
Classic examples. The emotional brain takes over, the rational brain is offline temporarily. Poor emotional regulation in action.
But when they work together well, the emotional brain alerts, the rational brain guides the response.
That's emotional intelligence. You notice the feeling, awareness, you evaluate it, and you choose your response wisely. Regulation. This integration is the basis for self-awareness, empathy, control. All of it.
Okay, that makes sense physiologically. How does this play out in, say, decision-making? We think decisions are logical, right?
We like to think so.
Yeah.
Weighing pros and cons. But neuroscience shows emotions are deeply involved in every decision we make.
Really? Even simple ones?
Even simple ones. Studies on people with damage to emotional centers, like the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, are fascinating. They can analyze options logically.
But they struggle to actually choose.
Exactly. Because emotions help us assign value to things. They tell us what matters, help us prioritize. Without that emotional input, decision-making becomes incredibly difficult.
Wow. So emotions aren't just noise getting in the way of logic.
Not at all. They're crucial data points. Think about that job offer scenario again. IQ lists the pros and cons, salary, commute.
But EQ helps you feel which one is the right fit, considering values, well-being, how you'd actually feel working there.
Precisely. Emotion adds weight and meaning to the logical facts. It helps you sense the rightness beyond the numbers.
And this applies elsewhere, too, like finances.
Oh, definitely. Fear and greed drive markets. Regret influences future risks. Confidence affects negotiations. The best decision makers don't ignore emotions. They're aware of them, understand their influence, and balance them with rational analysis.
So it's about integration, not suppression.
Absolutely. And this understanding impacts everything: leadership, parenting, teaching, all interactions. Emotions shape memory, attention, interpretation. EQ is the key to navigating that internal world effectively.
And the brain isn't fixed, right? You mentioned plasticity.
Yes, this is crucial. Our brains can change. We can strengthen those neural pathways between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex through practice.
How?
Things like consciously pausing before reacting, self-reflection, they literally build stronger connections over time.
So practices like mindfulness, journaling, therapy, they're like brain training.
Exactly. They're tools to enhance that communication flow. You get better at noticing patterns, calming intense emotions, making wiser choices. They strengthen that EQ muscle in the brain.
That's really helpful for understanding why we react certain ways sometimes, like getting defensive or feeling paralyzed.
Right. It shows emotions are part of our intelligence, not separate from it. Working with them unlocks wisdom.
So wrapping up the science bit, EQ isn't about squashing feelings. It's understanding their origins in the brain, learning to shape our responses, and integrating thinking and feeling. That's where the power lies.
Beautifully put. The integration is key. Now, where do we start building that? Self-awareness seems like the logical next step.
Definitely. Self-awareness, we called it the bedrock earlier. You really can't build the rest of the EQ house without this foundation, can you?
No, it's absolutely fundamental. You need to know what's happening internally before you can manage it, express it, or understand its impact.
And it's not like a one and done thing, right? It's an ongoing practice, like constantly checking that inner mirror.
Exactly. A continuous journey of turning inward with curiosity, not judgment. That's key, the lack of harsh judgment. Self-awareness is like hitting the pause button on your emotions, giving yourself a chance to choose.
So at its core, it's noticing your feelings while you're feeling them, in the moment.
Yes, that real-time recognition, catching it before you just react automatically or say something you regret later.
Because often, feelings are just simmering under the surface, influencing us without us realizing.
So often. That irritation might be low blood sugar. The sharp tone might be leftover stress from something else. Withdrawing might be an unrecognized fear.
Self-awareness shines a light on that, helps you see those patterns.
Precisely. It invites you to pause, observe without fixing, and that leads to more conscious responses, more clarity. You can't steer the ship if you don't know it's drifting, right?
Right.
Awareness gives you that compass reading.
Okay, so how do we do it? How do we get better at self-awareness?
Well, the first step is simply making a conscious effort to identify emotions as they happen. Slow down and tune into your body.
Physical sensations.
Yeah. Tight chest, knots in the stomach, clenched jaw, shakiness, heat. Those are often the first signals.
Okay, notice the physical cue, then what?
Try to name the emotion specifically. Go beyond, I feel bad, or I'm stressed. Is it disappointment, guilt, frustration, shame, envy? Getting granular actually helps.
Research shows labeling helps regulation, right?
It does. It engages the prefrontal cortex, helps you get a handle on it.
What other tools help?
Journaling is huge. Writing things down slows your thoughts, helps untangle complex feelings, spots recurring patterns. Use prompts like, what am I feeling? What triggered it? What did I hold back?
A safe space to observe your inner world. Makes sense.
And then there's mindfulness, paying non-judgmental attention to the present.
Observing thoughts and feelings without getting swept away.
Exactly. Noticing the mental spirals, learning to sit with discomfort, becoming aware of that inner chatter. Even just one conscious breath creates space.
What about looking back after something happens?
That's self-reflection. Asking, what did I feel then? Why? What did I really need? It shifts you from blame to curiosity.
Learning from the experience instead of just stewing on it.
Right. You could also try emotional check-ins throughout the day. Morning, midday, evening. Just pause. What's going on inside right now? Anything bubbling under the surface? Body tension.
Proactively tuning in instead of letting things build up.
And don't forget feedback from others. Trusted friends, mentors, a therapist. They can be a mirror for blind spots.
Oof, that requires being open and not defensive.
It does. Genuine curiosity. How do I come across? It can be incredibly revealing.
And crucially, you mentioned doing this with compassion.
Absolutely critical. Be kind to yourself. Emotions are signals, not flaws. Listen to them, learn from them, but don't beat yourself up.
So practicing this consistently actually changes the brain, strengthens those pathways.
Yes, it rewires things. You react less automatically, calm down faster by labeling accurately, shift beliefs through honest reflection.
Wow. So self-awareness isn't passive, it's an active, ongoing practice.
It truly is. It deepens your connection to yourself and paradoxically to others. In a noisy world, that inward attention is radical. It's the root of EQ.
Okay, the foundation is laid, we're aware, now what? How do we manage those feelings once we recognize them? Self-regulation time.
Exactly. Awareness is step one, but knowing isn't enough. It's what you do with that awareness that counts. Self-regulation is the action step.
You called awareness the compass and regulation the steering wheel. I like that.
Yeah, it helps you navigate those emotional winds intentionally. Self-regulation is managing those reactions, especially when stressed or triggered.
Creating that space between feeling and acting.
That's the core idea, realizing you don't have to act on every single emotion you feel.
Because we all have those moments, right? The sharp comment, the slam door, the emotional hijack.
We do. Self-regulation is the skill to catch yourself before that happens, release more often, and respond with more clarity.
Okay, so how do we practice it? What are the techniques?
Let's focus on 3 really practical ones. First, conscious breathing. It's a direct line to calming your nervous system.
How does that work physiologically?
When stressed, breathing gets shallow, signaling danger. Slowing it down like that 4-4-6 or 4-4-7 breath we mentioned. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6 or 7. Activates the parasympathetic system. Lowers heart rate, calms the amygdala, re-engages the prefrontal cortex. It's surprisingly effective.
Just a few deep breaths can make a difference. Okay. Technique number 2.
Reframing thoughts. Our emotions are often fueled by the stories we tell ourselves about situations.
Our interpretations.
Exactly. Reframing is challenging those initial stories, looking for other possibilities. So they ignored my call becomes maybe they're busy or perhaps their phone died.
It's not denying the feeling, but widening the lens, seeing facts versus interpretation.
Precisely. It helps separate the emotion from an automatic, potentially inaccurate reaction. Really useful in conflict.
Okay. Breathing, reframing. What's the third one?
The emotional pause. Super simple, incredibly powerful. Intentionally create space, even just a few seconds, between the feeling and the action.
Stop for a beat.
Yeah. Count to 5, take a breath. It lets the rational brain catch up. In arguments, interviews, parenting moments, that pause transforms I reacted into I chose. It gets easier with practice.
That feels very doable. Anything else that helps?
You could develop emotional scripts, short phrases like, this too shall pass, or I can handle this, as anchors during intense moments.
Little mental lifelines.
And knowing your triggers is huge. We talked about awareness. Once you know what sets you off, you can prepare a response instead of being blindsided. Turn triggers into growth areas.
It's important to remember this isn't about being numb.
Right at all. It's not suppression. Feel everything, but choose wisely how you respond. Emotions are data, not dictators.
And it doesn't mean always being calm either. Sometimes anger is appropriate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Strong emotion has its place. Regulation gives you control over the when and how of expressing it so it's constructive, not destructive.
Okay. So self-regulation is a skill, a muscle we build with each pause, each thoughtful response. It rewires the brain over time.
Exactly. It builds resilience and boosts your overall EQ. Now, what fuels all this effort? Let's talk about motivation.
Motivation, right, to engine driving our actions. But you made a distinction earlier, external versus internal.
Yes, crucial difference. External motivation is about rewards, praise, avoiding punishment, things outside of you.
Like getting a bonus or applause.
Right. Internal or intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's fueled by your values, purpose, passion, the sheer interest in the activity itself.
And you said high EQ folks often lean more on intrinsic motivation.
They often do. They act based on what aligns with their inner compass, not just chasing external validation. And that kind of drive is much more sustainable and fulfilling.
So intrinsic motivation is why you'd practice guitar even if no one's listening, or work hard on something just because it feels meaningful.
Exactly. It's driven by self-respect, mastery, contribution, progress, taking pride in growth itself.
Okay, so how do we cultivate more of that internal drive? What are the strategies?
First, meaningful goal setting. Choose goals that genuinely resonate with your values and purpose. Ask, what truly energizes me? What would I do even if no one noticed?
Aligning goals with your core self. Makes sense.
Second, break big goals into manageable steps. Build momentum with small daily actions. Discipline often comes before motivation kicks in, remember.
Small wins build confidence and keep you going.
Third, cultivate a growth mindset. Believe you can develop abilities through effort. See failure as a lesson, not an endpoint. Focus on improvement, not just proving yourself.
Embracing the learning process.
Fourth, manage your positive self-talk. That inner voice is powerful. Replace harsh criticism with encouragement. Be your own supportive coach.
Our internal dialogue really matters.
Fifth, always know your why. Connect with the deeper meaning behind your goals. Why is this important? When motivation dips, revisiting your why can reignite the flame.
Like wanting health to be there for family, not just a number on the scale.
Exactly. Sixth, celebrate progress. Acknowledge effort, small wins. Allow yourself to feel pride along the way. It sustains you.
Don't wait until the very end to feel good about it.
Seventh, when motivation does dip, and it will, don't panic or force it. Maybe it's a signal to rest, reassess, then return with fresh clarity.
Listen to the low points, too.
Eighth, foster autonomy. Feeling choice and control fuels intrinsic drive. Micromanagement kills it. Find ways to bring your own voice and integrity to what you do.
Feeling ownership.
And finally, check for emotional alignment. Motivation flows when goals match your feelings and values. If there's constant friction, use it as feedback. Is this goal truly aligned?
So intrinsic motivation is really about self-leadership.
Yeah.
Acting for internal alignment, not just external applause. Creating drive from within.
Yeah, it really is. In a world often focused on performance and image, tapping into that deep internal drive is powerful. Choosing meaning over metrics.
Okay, powerful stuff. Now let's shift focus outward again. Understanding others' empathy.
Yes, empathy. Such a vital force for connection. It's about understanding without judgment, really trying to step into another's shoes.
And communicating that understanding with presence, it's more than just feeling sorry for someone, right? That's sympathy.
Exactly. Sympathy is I feel for you, which can create distance. Empathy is I feel with you, which builds connection. It levels the ground.
So how do we cultivate empathy as a skill? Where does it start?
It often starts with deep, active listening. I mean really listening. Full attention, ears, eyes, body. Not planning your reply, not checking your phone.
Just tuning in completely to
Yeah.
words, tone, energy.
Yes, truly trying to grasp what they're conveying, verbally and non-verbally. In our distracted world, that kind of focused attention is rare. And it's a gift.
And it's not just silent listening.
Yeah. It involves reflecting back what you hear so it sounds like you're feeling. And validating their feelings. That sounds incredibly frustrating. Showing you recognize the importance of what they're sharing.
Making them feel heard and understood.
Then there's reading nonverbal cues. Facial expressions, posture, tone. Remember, so much communication is nonverbal.
Noticing shifts or maybe a mismatch between words and body language.
Exactly. You say you're fine, but I sense tension. Approaching it with curiosity, not accusation.
Is there a risk of getting overwhelmed by other people's emotions when you're empathetic?
There can be. That's why emotional boundaries are crucial. Empathy isn't absorbing their pain as your own.
So how do you connect without drowning?
Emotional mirroring can help.
Yeah.
Reflecting their feeling, I see you're really upset, without taking on the full weight yourself.
Yeah.
Acknowledge without absorbing.
Okay. What else is involved in empathy?
The willingness to sit with discomfort. Often when someone shares painful stuff, we want to fix it, cheer them up, move on quickly.
But sometimes the best thing is just presence.
Often, yes. Just being there, listening without interrupting, honoring the depth of their feeling. Presence can be more powerful than solutions.
Because sometimes people just need to be heard, not fixed.
Precisely. Shift your focus from, what do I want to say, to what does this person need to feel right now? That shift is key.
Can things like stories help build empathy?
Absolutely. Storytelling, reading diverse books, watching films, listening to narratives immerses you in other perspectives, helps you understand feelings beyond just events.
And humility, how does that fit?
Recognizing everyone has unseen struggles, their own story. Asking what might be going on beneath the surface here fosters understanding.
Even in conflict.
Especially in conflict. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing. It means trying to see their perspective, understand the hurt or fear behind their anger or defensiveness. It's key to de-escalation.
So empathy often happens in those small, quiet moments, building trust, showing you care.
Exactly. It reminds people they're not alone. In a divided world, tuning in like that is radical. Now, how do we put all this into practice in our interactions? Social skills.
Right. Social skills. This is where EQ becomes visible, tangible, right? How we relate to others.
It's the practical application. Managing relationships, communicating clearly, collaborating, handling conflict gracefully. These are core life skills, not just soft skills.
And the goal isn't manipulation, it's connection.
Absolutely. Using these skills to build bridges, collaborate effectively, resolve disagreements peacefully and respectfully.
Okay, where do we start with social skills? Communication seems key.
Effective communication is foundational. It's more than clarity. It's aligning words with the other person's feelings and needs, rooted in honesty, clarity, kindness.
Knowing what to say, but also when and how. Being mindful of reception.
Exactly. And using tools like I statements instead of you accusations, I feel unheard versus you always interrupt. It invites dialogue, reduces defensiveness.
You're asking more questions, practicing curiosity before stating opinions.
Yes, prioritize understanding.
Yeah.
Then there's conflict resolution. Conflict happens, but escalation doesn't have to.
Viewing it as a conversation to navigate, not a battle to win. Recognizing that feeling misunderstood is often the root cause.
Right. And seeking common ground. Where do we agree? Shifts from opposition to collaboration. Aim for mutually respectful solutions.
And knowing how to de-escalate.
Crucial. Emotional de-escalation, slowing down, taking breaks, acknowledging the feelings directly. I see this is upsetting, lowers the temperature.
What about in teams?
Social skills and teamwork mean managing group dynamics, fostering inclusion, giving credit, taking responsibility, being aware of emotional impact on trust and performance.
Can you give an example? Maybe that difficult conversation with a struggling teammate.
Sure, strong social skills mean preparing emotionally, self-regulation, opening calmly, actively listening to their side, sharing concerns clearly but kindly. The missed deadlines impact the team, focusing on behavior, not character.
And then closing collaboratively. What do you need? How can we support you?
Exactly. It's about connection, curiosity, honesty, and that same approach works wonders in personal relationships too. Softens arguments, prevents deep wounds.
So social skills are about emotional presence, intentional words, awareness of your energy, choosing connection.
And like all EQ components, they're developable. They're linked to leadership, engagement satisfaction. They build safety, loyalty, intimacy, collaboration.
Strong relationships are built on these skills day by day. Okay, so we have the components, the science, the practical skills. But it's not always easy, right? What gets in the way? Let's talk barriers.
Right. Because developing EQs sounds great in theory, but reality often throws curveballs. There are definitely common barriers, psychological, experiential, cultural.
And just human nature sometimes.
Exactly. But understanding these obstacles is the first step to navigating them. Awareness, again.
Okay, what's a common one?
Triggers. Those emotional hot buttons. Things that set us off instantly, often rooted in the past.
Like being called lazy triggers defensiveness because of old insecurities.
Precisely. Triggers cloud judgment, lead to overreactions. EQ helps us pause when triggered. Tips. Recognize your triggers. Self-awareness. Pause and breathe. Reframe. Is it really personal? Journal about it.
Okay, triggers. What else?
Ego. That need to be right to protect our self-image.
Oh, yeah. That can really block communication and empathy. Makes conflicts worse.
Totally. You focus on winning the argument, not understanding. Tips. Check your emotions, why the strong need to be right. Practice humility, you don't know everything. Ask open-ended questions to understand their view.
Taming the ego. Got it. Barrier number 3.
Childhood patterns. Unresolved stuff. Ingrained ways of reacting, learned early on.
Like if your feelings were dismissed, you might suppress them now. Or if you felt neglected, you might overreact to perceived abandonment.
Exactly. These patterns can pop up automatically in adult relationships. Tips, self-reflection, how does the past influence me now? Find safe ways to express emotions, maybe therapy to heal old wounds.
Recognizing those old scripts makes sense. And the last barrier.
Cultural misconceptions about emotions. Different cultures have different norms about expressing feelings.
Some see showing emotion as weakness, or Western culture often labels negative emotions as bad.
Right. This can hinder healthy emotional acknowledgement. EQ is about working with the full spectrum. Tips. Challenge limiting cultural beliefs. Broaden your perspective. Reframe emotions as valuable signals, not good or bad.
So, triggers, ego, childhood patterns, cultural messages. Overcoming them takes effort.
Conscious effort, self-awareness, patience. But it leads to much more fulfilling connections. Now, ready for some concrete exercises to actively build EQ?
Yes. Let's get actionable. We know the theory, the barriers. Now, what can people do today?
Okay, 5 practical exercises. Remember, EQ is a skill. Practice makes progress.
Exercise number 1.
Daily check-ins. Simple. Few moments each day, morning, noon, night. Pause, reflect. How am I feeling? Why? Anything underneath. Build self-awareness. Tip. Keep a journal.
Just tuning in regularly. Got it. 2.
Name that emotion. Get specific. Not just stressed. Is it anxiety, frustration, disappointment? Naming it helps manage it. Ask, what exactly is this?
Yeah.
Root cause. Tip. Use an emotion wheel or list for ideas.
Granular labeling. Okay. 3rd exercise.
Role-playing. Actively practice empathy. Step into someone else's shoes in a hypothetical situation. Practice responding empathetically to a difficult conversation or trigger. Tip. Record yourself to check your communication.
Practicing empathy like you'd practice any other skill. 4.
MP journaling. After an interaction, reflect. How did I respond? What might they have felt? What could I have done differently to understand better? Encourages perspective taking. Tip. Dedicated journal section, review entries.
Learning from real-life interactions. Good one. And number 5.
The pause and reflect technique. We've talked about this. Feel strong emotion. Pause. Count to 5. Ask, what am I feeling? Trigger, how do I want to respond maturely? Create space for thoughtful choice. Tip, set phone reminders to practice pausing.
Building that self-regulation muscle. Okay, those are 5 solid, doable exercises?
They are. Remember, it's a journey. Start small, practice consistently, be patient. It leads to better relationships, more resilience.
Fantastic. Well, that brings us towards the end of this deep dive on emotional intelligence. We covered a lot.
We really did. From defining it, exploring the science, comparing it to IQ, identifying barriers, and now these practical exercises.
We hit those 5 core components: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills, and hopefully those 5 exercises give you a real starting point.
The key message, I think, is that this is developable. It takes consistent effort, daily reflection, but it gets more natural over time. You get better at handling things gracefully.
So maybe take a moment now as you're listening to reflect on your own emotional habits. Where do you feel strong? Where are the areas for growth?
Maybe it's specific triggers, or reacting impulsively sometimes, or maybe consciously practicing more empathy, or not avoiding difficult feelings.
And remember, those growth areas, they're totally okay. It's not about perfection. It's about progress and deeper self-understanding.
Absolutely. Embrace the learning process.
We'd genuinely love to hear from you about your own EQ journey. What are you focusing on? What resonates? Share in the comments or on social media. Let's learn from each other.
Yeah, creating that community space can be really helpful and inspiring. Let us know what you're working on.
And hey, if you found this useful, please do like, subscribe, maybe share it with someone else who might be interested. It really helps us keep these deep dives going.
Your support means a lot and helps us reach more people curious about these kinds of topics.
Looking ahead, our next deep dive is going to be on building resilience in times of stress. We'll get into practical ways to navigate setbacks and cultivate that inner strength.
Oh, that's a really timely and important one. Looking forward to exploring resilient strategies. Hope you'll join us for that.
So wrapping up on EQ, it's just such a valuable skill set, impacts everything, and you can develop it day by day. Awareness, management, empathy, connection. It leads to a more balanced, fulfilling life.
It truly does. It just requires that consistent effort and, importantly, patience with yourself along the way.
Thank you so much for tuning in and spending this time with us exploring emotional intelligence. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We look forward to continuing the journey with you in the next deep dive.